It's time for vocab lesson 11. This lesson starts on page 69 of your workbook. For this classroom lesson, you're going to need your root card and the materials that you've chosen to complete your vocab strategy. This lesson is also about senses, so we're going to have some more roots that have to do with the senses, and I would again recommend coming up with some ways to remember the difference between these roots since they're all similar in meaning. The first root that you can add to your root card is add. Add means to or toward. Please add this to your root card. And we have several words that use add as a root. There are 3 to be exact. And just so you know, there are a total of 11 words this lesson, in addition to 4 new roots that we're going to learn. The first word that uses add is ad hoc. This is actually a word that looks like 2 separate words. There's a space in between, but it's considered one term. It's an adjective, and it means for a specific purpose or situation. For example, the ad hoc committee met specifically to improve student participation. The sentence in the book reads, the ad hoc campaign committee will disband after the election. So it's something that's used or put together for a specific reason. I have a picture of a committee meeting up in the left-hand corner, and then a fire extinguisher, which has a very specific purpose. Don't forget to add this word and definition to your vocab strategy, and please feel free to pause the video at any time so that you can add detail to your strategy. We're going to move on to word number 2, which is admonish. Admonish is a verb. It's an action word, and it means to scold gently but firmly, or to caution or warn. So we have 2 sentences for both of those meanings. The first sentence has to do with the scolding. It says parents will often admonish bad behavior before it becomes a problem. The second sentence listed is kind of going along with that second definition, which is to caution or to warn. So despite being admonished about the dangers, some people still drink and drive. Don't forget to add this word and definition to your vocab strategy. And if you need some more examples of sentences, you can take a look on page 70 of your workbook. We're going to move on to the third word that uses this root. The word is assimilate. You'll probably notice that add is not actually used in assimilate. And if you look at page 70 of your workbook, it explains that sometimes add, when used as a prefix, does not actually use the AD spelling. So there are different ways that it can appear in a word, and a more detailed explanation of that is in your workbook. So assimilate, even though you don't see the AD in there, it does use the root and the meaning. It is a verb, and it means to take in and make a part of the body, so to digest, which is shown in that picture on the bottom, or it can also mean to cause to become similar or part of a whole. So again, we have 2 sentences. The first sentence goes along with that first definition. The nutrients from our food is assimilated during the digestive process. Could also say that the body assimilates sugars and carbohydrates rapidly, but proteins and fats require longer digestion. If we're looking at that second definition, to cause to become similar or part of a whole, it says when immigrants move to the United States, there's a strong pressure to assimilate or to become a part of the United States and kind of change your culture to match or meet what's happening here. It says that America's melting pot society has assimilated cultures from every part of the globe in your workbook. Don't forget to add this word and definition to your vocab strategy. We're actually already moving on to another root. This root is oleo, and it means to smell. To smell. And again, this is lesson 11. There are 2 words that we're going to learn in this lesson that use this root. The first is olfactory. This is an adjective. It's a describing word, and it means pertaining to the sense of smell. So it's a word that's used to describe anything that pertains to the sense of smell. The sentence here reads, a dog has 220 million olfactory receptors in its nose. And I thought it was interesting that humans only have 5 million. So obviously a dog's sense of smell is so much stronger and more powerful than a human's. In the book it reads, expert perfumers have developed olfactory senses that can identify various scents in a complex fragrance. Your second and last word that uses this root is redolent. Redolent is another adjective. It's a describing word, and it means smelling strongly or full of memories. And you may know that your sense of smell is highly connected to our memory banks. So when we smell something that reminds us of something that's happened in our past, there's a very strong correlation there. So the sentence on the screen here reads, in middle school, the locker rooms are often redolent after PE class. So there you have the smelling strongly definition. And then your second sentence reads, family home videos are redolent with nostalgia. So they're full of memories. The sentence in the book reads, my grandparents' attic is redolent of my childhood afternoons spent reading there. So again, full of memories. After we made lasagna, the kitchen was redolent of garlic. It smelled strongly of garlic. So both of these words very clearly relate to smell. We're moving on to a third root in this lesson, which is sono, and it means to sound. To sound. Please add this root to your root card before moving on. And try and come up with a way that you can remember this root. Just as a little side note, there are root lessons or root sets on Quizlet, and there is a root set specific to lessons 1 through 11. And this would be a really great lesson to use that Quizlet set for, because there are 4 entirely new roots in this lesson that you'll need to know for the quiz that's coming up. And just as a reminder, roots 1 through 11, words, lessons 9, 10, and 11. Moving on to our first word that uses this root, the word is resonate. It is a verb, and it means to produce or show sound vibrations, to echo or resound. The sentence reads, all string instruments produce sound when those strings resonate. So again, to produce sound, to have vibrations, to echo. Rubbing the rim of a crystal glass causes it to resonate or to produce sound, if anyone's ever done that before. Again, a clear connection between this word and its root. And we have one more word that uses this root. The word is sonic. It is an adjective, and it means pertaining to sound waves or audible sounds. If you've ever heard of a sonic boom, that is when there is a sound that is very strong. And there have been tests to try and see if a sonic boom could break through glass or other solids. So that's kind of what you see there in the lower right-hand corner. Mythbusters tested whether or not a sonic boom could break glass. And the sentence in the book reads, jets create a sonic boom when they break the so-called sound barrier. And that's what's shown in the picture in the top middle there. Don't forget to add this word and definition to your vocab strategy before moving on. And we are going to be adding our final root for this lesson. We have 4 words that use this root. And this root is very similar to sound. Instead, it is to call. So let's make sure we're remembering the distinction there. The way that I kind of remember voco is to call is that sometimes when you call someone, you have to leave a voicemail or a voice message. And so that's kind of how I remember this one. Please make sure you're adding this to your root card so you have a nice comprehensive list of all of our roots. The first word that uses this root is evoke. Evoke is a verb, and it means to summon or call forth, to inspire. The first sentence that's listed there goes along with this definition. A good cause will evoke support from many people. It will inspire many people. The second definition, also a verb, is to produce a reaction or response. So the movie Old Yeller commonly evokes tears in its audience. The sentences in the book read, the shout of fire evoked panic in the audience. Or a buttery cookie evoked memories of childhood. We're going to move on to our next word, but pause if you need to. The word is provocative. Provocative is another adjective. It's a describing word, and it means exciting or stimulating. So the article on the amount of money athletes are making was extremely provocative. It was exciting. Don't forget to add this word to your vocab strategy. The sentence in your book reads, Alice Walker's provocative novel about African American life, The Color Purple, was made into an award-winning film. Our next word is vociferous. Vociferous is an adjective, and it means making an outcry, characterized by loudness, especially in protest. The sentence reads, the students made a vociferous groan when the teacher announced a pop quiz. In your book, you'll see another example of a sentence that reads, the batter made a vociferous protest when the umpire called out. Our final word for this lesson is advocate. Advocate can be used as either a verb or a noun. So it can mean to speak in favor of something if it's being used in the verb form, or it can mean a person who supports or defends a cause if you're using it as a noun. So in the sentence, it says, I am an advocate for protecting the whales. In this sentence, it's being used as a noun, really to define the person who's speaking out for or supporting the protection of whales. If you need more examples of sentences for how this word is used, feel free to take a look in your workbook. And don't forget to add this word and definition to your vocab strategy. At this point, you should have all 4 new roots recorded on your root card, as well as all 11 words from this lesson. There was a lot of information, so make sure you do some studying. Thanks for listening.